things. Okay, you might be halfway back, in this in a safe place, sort of like in the back, in the middle of a row, just sort of safe. And there's somebody, in front of you going, or this, or I don't know. They're just moving around a lot, and don't let things distract you. First of all, you're not living in their shoes. You don't know what they're experiencing, what they're going through. Second of all, we don't know everybody here, okay? We don't know everybody, so we're not going to stand up here and vouch for everything that's going on in the revival. People come from all over the world. We don't know what people are experiencing, but we're not God's marshals, okay? Cops. And we don't walk around going, what are you doing that for? We don't have time for that, okay? God's just moving in this place. And I want you to hear me now. I was one of the skeptics of the skeptics. I have been one, I've always analyzed everything. Is there anybody like that here? When you see something going on, you've got to have the address in the Bible. Where is that found? What is that? Where is that? Well, there's a lot. What's going on in this place, you'll find all through the Word. But there are things, for example, we had one girl that was standing here, and you won't find this in the Bible, what she was doing. I was over there by Mike, and she was shooting a bow and arrow. Just shooting up in the air. Now, there's a lot of strange things in the Bible where people did strange things, okay? There are things like, sheets falling from the heavens, and full of all different kinds of animals. And there's, how many would agree that there's all kinds of strange things in the Bible? If you read the Word, there are strange things in the Bible. This girl was shooting a bow and arrow. And I went to someone who knew her, and I said, who is she? And this particular person said, that girl would never do what she's doing. She is the shyest person we know. She would never do that. And it went on for like an hour. And I was watching her, and as she was shooting, you could tell that it was a spirit battle going on. And I tried to think spiritually for a few minutes. First of all, I had never seen that before. Second of all, why couldn't God be using that girl in intercession? Because she was definitely in the spirit. She was in another world, and it was like she was shooting demonic forces. And I was thinking, why couldn't God be using that young lady right there to bind some of the demonic warfare that was going on in other people around the building? She was praying, she was going after God, and it was like she was shooting. And I was going, Jesus, I've never seen that before. And I am not open to everything as far as we don't accept everything that goes on. But some of us, we snuff everything that's happening. Anything that moves, we kill it. And the reason I'm saying this ahead of time because some of you are going to be here for a few days. You are going to experience things you've never experienced before. And before you become a critic of what someone else is experiencing, I would encourage you to go back into the Word and read the stories in the Bible as if you're really watching them happen. Okay? Don't just read through the verses because a lot happens in a few verses. And you can go to places like Acts chapter 9 and you'll see a man named Saul of Tarsus have an experience with God that no one had ever seen before. I want you to hear me. This was not a typical religious experience. He was on his way to Damascus to kill people and to throw them in prison, on his way to kill Christians, imprison Christians, and on his way there at noonday, a bright light shone from heaven, brighter than the sun. The Bible says he fell to the ground. A lot of people they walk right past that. And they just say, Saul had an awesome experience. Stop for a minute and think about his awesome experience. Why was the man so motivated to preach the Word? I got a feeling it's because he had an encounter. And his encounter didn't have anything to do with anybody else but him. It was his encounter. He heard a voice from heaven. He answered that voice, and then something happened to his eyes. He was blinded. He was led away for 3 days. On the third day, he was prayed for, and something like fish scales fell from his eyes. Now, I want to tell you, friend, that was strange. And if they had scriptures back then, they had Old Testament scriptures, you can hunt the Old Testament scriptures. That wasn't there. You couldn't find in the book of Psalms or Job, yea, I say unto you, thou shalt hear a voice from heaven, yea, thou shalt be blinded from a bright light, and yea, scales will form on thine eyes. It's not there, friend. It was an experience that he had. And some of us in this room, every time something happens, we want to find 18 scriptures on it. What you need to look for scriptures on is the change in people. Because if everything that ever moved was in the Bible, we'd be toting that thing around with a wheelbarrow. At the day of Pentecost, everything that those people had experienced, 120 in the upper room, what if every single person's experience and movements were written down to satisfy every critic? The book of Acts would be 18 books long. Why? Because every little movement that they made. The Bible says they stumbled around as they were drunk. The people accused them of being drunk. In just one little place, it accused them of being drunk. That says that all these people were stumbling around early in the morning. They looked like drunk people. Now, folks, I want you to hear me. Don't be so quick. I don't know who this is for. Don't be so quick to judge, because you might be someone who walked up to Saul of Tarsus while he was sharing his testimony and say, get out of here. That kind of stuff doesn't happen. God would never do anything like that. He had never blinded anybody, and you never had scales fall from your eyes.